the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we're going to do one of our famous, not really that famous, but people seem to like them at least, movie commentaries.
We just did it for ourselves.
That's how it started out, but I've gotten some nice things where people are like, that was a good one. Like, I liked your Super Mario Brothers one, or I liked your Street Fighter one. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. People do seem to like this. Hell, I started posting them on Newgrounds because you can post podcasts on there.
Oh, we can?
Yeah, but I was just selective with them. I just picked like the movie commentary ones just to put on there, so it's not just like, let's upload them all. Fuck it.
So it's not the one where just like, oh, this fuck on Newgrounds. It's not like none of those ones. It's just like the movie ones where you just stay positive the whole time. Like, oh, this is actually a really good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, most of the time we're always pretty darn positive. When it comes to movies, we seem to always be pretty darn positive. That's like the one thing. It's like, who can complain about movies? It's fucking entertainment.
But I guess we get negative. It's like, oh, this one fuck left this fucking review on one of our videos, and you're like, fuck this guy. What's he ever done? We just
hear that, or it's like, this guy's talking shit about this movie. That's a great movie. I don't know what people are complaining about. But speaking of a fantastic movie, if not one of the best, we're gonna watch The Evil Dead for our Halloween collaboration commentary. Blah 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 blah. Which we really just said, like, dude, what DVDs you got that I have? That was like how we made our decision more than anything else.
Well, because I left a good portion of my DVDs back in Sonora when I moved to San Francisco, and at first you said Drag Me to Hell. I'm like, oh, that's actually a really good one, And then I just like, wait, did I bring that with me? And the thing is, both my internet sucks and your internet sucks, so we didn't really want to stream it online or nothing like that. So we ended up saying, well, what did I have that I brought with me? And I look, oh, I got The Evil Dead. We kind of made a list. I'm like, well, Evil Dead, I mean, for the most part, we always do like obscure audio commentaries. Movies we like, but they're kind of obscure. But Evil Dead, though, it's one of those ones. It's not so obscure, but it's just such a good movie, and I think it's like the perfect Halloween movie.
Yeah, I agree there too. It's one of those movies where, there was a time period where it was obscure, but I think this day and age, it's kind of like a legendary film, as far as a horror movie goes. But well, let's get started. We can talk over as a thing's playing. I don't know which disc you got because there's about like 8 different versions of this movie you can get nowadays.
I got the air quotes collector's edition that has no subtitles.
Is it this one?
And the special. No, it's other one than that, and it has one of the advertising things of it is like, oh, and it has scene selection.
Oh, so mine's got some special features on it. And this is one of the earlier versions. But
this is an earlier version of mine too.
Whatever, no matter which way you're watching it, if you want to stream the movie, download the movie, fucking watch it on DVD like cool kids do, watch it on Blu Ray like rich kids do, pull out your Laserdisc if you got that kind of collector's item sitting around.
If you're one of those guys.
Or pull out the good old VHS, why not? But
okay, so we'll begin it on 1, 2, 3. I'm watching on my PS4. You're watching it on...
Yeah, I'm going to start mine up really quickly because I think there's that Anchor Bay thing that comes up first. Oh, no, it's like that cheap-looking Mayan thing, like you're playing like a Tomb Raider game on PlayStation 1.
The Cowboy Bebop DVD has that whenever you start. It's like a 3-minute, like, going through this fucking, like, Mayan temple and zooming out to see the double, like, in stereo HD. All right, great, yeah, let's play the fucking movie.
Okay. Does yours have the THX thing starting up? I'm just trying to figure out where you're at. I'm playing mine right now.
I'm literally on black. I'm literally right on black.
Now
this has to be thrilling for the.
Well, the only reason I say this is because, like some movies, they have.
It has to be perfect.
They have different stuff beforehand. If we don't have the same copy, I'm just gonna get it to where it's actually at. Okay, I'm at the smoky stuff. I think that's the very beginning.
Yeah, I'm at the smoky stuff too. It's like transitioning from black to the smoky stuff, not playing, it's paused. So on 3, we'll record at the same time. This is the first time we've always done these in person. This is the first time we're recording it over Skype. So we'll see how this goes.
It's one that this sounds like a minor complaint, but I think this is fucking retarded of Sony. Why the hell is X the play button now?
I don't know.
Because
it varies. If it's Blu-ray, it's like circle. But if it's X, it's a DVD.
Well, because on PS3 and PS2, it's always been start. But now since it's a fucking options button, they don't. So I always go to hit that, but it's like, oh yeah, that's not the right one. Well, whatever. That's a minor complaint. Ready? We're gonna count down. We're on Smoky Smoke. So if everybody's on the Smoky Smoke at the very beginning, then we're good.
Okay.
1,
2,
3. Boy, good thing we're not on Lethal Weapon right now. Fuck, we would have screwed that up.
We're on the smoke. Okay.
Renaissance
A
Pictures
little up. All
presents
right. I got that too. Yeah, we're going.
okay,
So
The Evil
now I'm
Dead.
not gonna lie, I was kind of a late bloomer on this movie. There it is, The Evil Dead. I was a late bloomer on this movie. I really didn't really get into. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like a diehard horror fan, but I really didn't really start enjoying horror films till probably like early college.
Yeah, I know, because I remember it was almost like I shared a bunch of movies with you. Because I had that childhood one where it was me and Cisco. We would like walk to the video store and rent different, horror movies every weekend. We get a couple of them, and we just went through everything from Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, the Halloween movies, and a bunch of other random stuff in between. Classics, weird ones that had cool covers but weren't good movies. So we did a
Mhm.
copious amount of viewing from like probably like age 10, 12, 11 to, well, I guess all the way up through high school, just of like a ton of different horror movies. Now this movie, I remember the
I,
first time I watched it with my dad.
no.
I was like, "Hey, The Evil Dead."
The tree scene must not have been awkward
Yeah,
whatsoever.
this
Like,
is a famous.
so son, when a girl likes a tree.
Yeah, it was like this is a famous horror movie I heard. But the funny
No,
thing I
but
noticed
like,
about because there's always that thing where some people think The Evil Dead, the original one's the best one, and then there's a lot of people that think The Evil Dead 2 is the best. I've kind of learned that it's whatever one you saw first, mostly. Because the people that saw Evil Dead 2 first, they kind of expect that kind of partial comedy to come along with it. Where the people, I guess, that watched this one first, like me and you were going into it as a straight horror movie.
Yeah, yeah. I will say that as time went on, like, because when I first saw Evil Dead 2, I didn't realize it's more or less just a remake. In some ways, it's a sequel, but it's basically a remake.
Yeah.
And after watching this right here first, I was kind of like a little confused watching Evil Dead 2. Just like, wait, what's going on? Why is he going back? What? This just happened. Why am I? Because I remember it was those days you go to the pawn shop, like, oh, Evil Dead 1 and 2, buy them both at the same time, and then watch them back to back. And then, like, so you didn't have that time to ingest it. Like, okay, but after as it went on though, I found myself liking Evil Dead 2 a bit more, and then as it went on, like, I think Evil Dead, by the time I got to Army of Darkness, I think I was like, you know what, I could accept it for what it is. And Evil Dead 2 is still probably my least favorite of the trilogy, which I know is probably like
A lot. You tell
which
people that, and they're like, "The fuck, really?"
I like Army of Darkness more than Evil Dead 2. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like when I first saw Evil Dead 2, I was like, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't really that impressed with it. Like, because I guess because I saw this one, and once again, it was that remake thing, and I really liked this one a lot because it was a serious horror movie, and almost a comedy at first. It threw me off more than anything else. And I've already saw Army of Darkness. I saw Evil Dead 2 kind of. That was the last one I saw of all three of them. But in Army of Darkness, it's almost like that kind of changes to like an action horror picture, so it's sort of different in that way.
Mhm.
But
I like how that shot right there. I believe that was.
well, really quickly, you could
This is
see, I think, Sam Raimi and his brother or somebody just in the background once they pass the
in the
bridge. They're
background
just
as they cross
standing
the
there
bridge.
like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, which that could almost be a little creepy too. Like someone knows, someone's in the woods or something. You could say that, but yeah, it was that. Yeah, because
We
this is
already
all
passed it already?
basically like,
Oh, we must have passed.
yeah, past it. They're on the bridge right now. They just passed the bridge.
Yeah, okay, well, we passed it. I think it's right when they first get to the bridge. You can see them there. But, there
Yeah.
you go. Like, rewind the movie if you want to see that.
I will say though, like, I want to say it real quick before I forget. Doesn't like right here. Doesn't like this young Bruce Campbell. Right now we're in the back of the car.
This
We'll use in the
young
movie the whole time.
car. No.
Bruce Campbell. This young car. No, the Bruce Campbell. Doesn't he look like George Harrison in this?
Yeah, he sort of does.
To me, I think he looks kind of like a young George Harrison, a taller George Harrison, but George Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, now that I'm saying it, it's not popping up. We got a picture of the girl, but then that's the girl that gets attacked by the tree, right? That's the girl, the one they showed a minute
It's
ago.
his sister, because it's like, it's
It's-
one of
that's
those
his
ones where it's
sister.
like Bruce Campbell and his girlfriend, and then the other dude and his girlfriend, and then Bruce Campbell's sister, where the character's sister.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a little bit since I've seen this movie, but I watched it so much like a few years back. It's kind of like ingrained into my mind. It's kind of like Snatch. I haven't watched that movie in years, but I watched that movie so many times. The first 2 years I had it, I just it's just ingrained in my skull.
Well, this is one of those movies when I first bought it, I think I watched it like 3 times in about 2 weeks. It was that one where it's just like I just liked it that much that I watched it the next day, watched the audio commentary. It was, it really inspired me, this film. It's like this one, Clerks. It's a lot of these movies are like, that's why I got in. Well, even more into making movies. I guess I was making movies prior to this movie, seeing this for the first time, but you can't help being
What
like
if this
inspired
kind
by
of
it.
Ash is totally the one, just like, all right, Ash, yeah, you go do that. Like, really? Okay, fuck you guys. I guess I will. He's constantly.
What?
Wait, that's not Ash. Never mind. That's the friend. For some reason, I remember it being Ash being the one that got like, okay, you go check it out. We'll stay back here.
The weird thing about this one is
But
like if you watched Army of Darkness first and then watched this movie, you'd be like, that's not the same character, because he's just so like in this one he's
yeah,
just kind of serious and calm and whatnot, and Army of Darkness he's like spouting out one, like he's like Arnold Schwarzenegger almost. It's like if
I think. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's kind of like because it translated into like an action movie with comedy and so on. Where this one, there's some like the things that are funny in this one. Sometimes they're just kind of like slightly unintentional things, and that's actually when they started Evil Dead 2. It was supposed to be a serious movie too, and then there was just some of like the effects and stuff they were doing when they were just shooting them. They just couldn't help but laugh because of how ridiculous everything looked. So that's how it kind of translated more into it. And then I know on top of it, Sam Raimi was a big Three Stooges fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that like it was one of those things people kind of laughed a lot in this movie. 'Cause I'm not gonna lie, there is like maybe a few cheesy lines here and there, just the way they shot it. Like there's the part when they almost got hit by the truck earlier on in the movie. How I got to zoom in on the girlfriend's face, and she's like, "Ah!" And then they just like, "Oh, that bastard almost hit us," So I think that they took it as like, okay, this was kind of unintentionally funny in some ways. So they just.
But I think that's almost like the spirit of like low budget filmmaking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining. I still love this movie. But as it went on, though, they just kind of like, I think they used some of that. Well, it wasn't meant to be funny, but they kind of laughed at it more, and they laughed at it even more in Evil Dead 2. So I think they just kind of went along
They did
with
the
it.
classic sequel thing where you go, hey, people seem to like the comedy in that first one. How about you amplify that? And strange enough, I think that's why the second one, for a while, I didn't really appreciate that one until, much later. Because I just kind of went, I mean, it's got cool stuff in it. Not like I don't like it, but it's just, I wish it was more of a horror movie. Wish it did this. And now, like, the one thing it is kind of nice about that second one, though, is that movie does get started in, like, 10 minutes, if not less.
It just jumps in, I think, because I'm not going to lie, even though I do like this one the most, this one is very much, who are we all here to watch? Bruce fucking Campbell. Everyone else is just kind of there. The second one, I think everybody's a little bit more defined. You have the one girl who's like an archaeologist. You have the redneck couple. There's the yuppie boyfriend who I guess is supposed to be the friend in this movie right here. But he dies and gets like zombified pretty quickly. And I guess it's cool about because this movie ends on the idea that maybe Bruce Campbell died or got possessed at the very last second. Where, I mean, I never really, even in this version, which is apparently an alternate reality or something, I never really viewed it as he died, just because I just liked him too much. He didn't die. He made it out of it somehow. But it's kind of cool when you think about it that like the main character became a villain like 30 minutes into the sequel.
Oh, yeah. I like how she just starts going crazy here, drawing on this clock.
I really want to draw really hard, It's not coming out the way I want it to.
You get angry when you're drawing, and you're like, fucking, why doesn't that rabbit look good enough?
That's me on my Wacom.
So you don't want. So when it's an electronic device, you're like, you want to be sensitive. It's kind of like when you got a handheld video game system, and you get angry. You start doing that thing where you get all, and you start swinging it around, but you're holding onto it because you know that it's expensive. It's not like a controller that you could slam down, and then you just kind of start breathing heavily and standing and strutting back and forth.
You just start breathing heavily. You just look like you see a couch and you just chuck it at the pillow. Or
you just start kicking the couch because you're like, this thing's expensive and it's the whole unit.
Yeah, that's the girl that gets possessed. That's right. Yeah. Like I said, it's been a little while, but I remember this movie pretty well. Foreshadowing for what's to come. The bloodshed. It makes a good thing I never host any of those creature features. Tonight we're going to be watching The Evil Dead. Yeah, that's the best I got right there.
Just be like one of those ones where you slowly pop up in the coffin like, hello, we're here to see a movie. Just be like, let me eat my sandwich. Oh. What the fuck are we watching? Hopefully it's a good movie. This guy's a really weird introduction.
More unsettling than the actual movie. Today we're watching Freaks. Yeah, that
Just
guy's
like
introduction
you
is
people at home. Just do some weird finger motions towards the camera.
spooky. Can we
That's really what
just
it's
turn it off?
spooky.
Can we
You
turn
like
this
that
off?
guy?
This is scaring me. The movie's not even started yet. Yeah, I fucking know. Let's just turn it off.
Yeah, I think I'm already having nightmares.
I think Green Inferno is probably more watchable than this. Oh shit, what's going on down there?
Start looking down below. You know, you go to
You
places.
didn't say nothing after that Green Inferno comment. I meant just because it's very. I haven't seen the movie.
I thought you were insulting them. I'm like, I haven't seen it yet, but I want to assume that it's going to be amazing.
No, it's one of those things where I'm just assuming it's Eli Roth. I'm not insulting it like in a fuck that movie. I'm just because I know I'm like he was quiet. I was like he's quiet. That must have hit home for him. Like no, it was
You don't fucking
basically because I
insult
know
him.
how. I'm more like I'm not really big on super gory movies. I'm not gonna handle gore, but just like torture films like that. And I'm not judging the movie for that. I imagine for most people parts of that are gonna be really hard to watch.
Yeah, it'd be like the Cannibal Holocaust. Well, this movie kind of like, because it came out around the same time as Cannibal Holocaust, kind of all tying together. And it originally had that X rating thing too, and banned in many countries and so on.
Yeah. Like I want to say that I think this movie, well, at least a certain cut of it, is still banned in England, at least.
Yeah, probably. I can't imagine England, but probably for a while.
I want to say, well, if Clockwork Orange is banned in England.
Yeah, it was banned. Well, because Stanley Kubrick wanted to ban it, and I think he was like, whoa. Oh God, what if I just create? You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna have freaks come to my doorstep thinking that I'm like their leader or something like that, dressed up as Alex. So he is like, get this shit out of my country. Sir, you're actually American. No. I am now English.
Did you ever see the Evil Dead remake?
I never did. At first, it just looked like blasphemy when I remember when I looked at the trailers. And over time, I think you and other people said it was actually pretty good and worth checking out. So at some point, I'd like to see it. To me, it just seems weird watching an Evil Dead movie without Bruce Campbell. I think that's like one of the main things. It's kind of like, it's like going to like see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but it's like, oh well, Arnold Schwarzenegger's not in it. And
Total Recall remake. Sound familiar?
Yeah, kind of like that. Even though that movie was still like, it wasn't bad, but wasn't, amazing. Or at least something like, I guess you could say like that third Conan movie. It still had somebody who was Arnold Schwarzenegger like in it, Jason Momoa. And I guess even, I don't know, it's just sometimes there's that thing that's like when you're missing the pivotal character, you're kind of like, why bother?
Yeah, no, well, basically, it's one of those movies where it is a different cast of characters. You can tell kind of who's supposed to be who to an extent. Originally, they were talking about what they wanted to do with that was present it as like a remake / sort of sequel, like implying that basically make people think they're going in to see a remake and then lead into, the girl from this movie later meets Ash in like a later sequel. That was kind of a plan for it, because even if you wait after the credits, it's just out of nowhere. It just shows like Bruce Campbell, like a very like dark room, just as groovy and just with a kind of noise. So, but it's actually, I will say, because we kind of complained at first about like Evil Dead 2 being too funny. That one is literally kind of like
a legitimate horror movie.
What this is trying to be. It is trying to be a horror film. It's trying to be scary. It's not trying to go for laughs. It takes all this stuff and tries to be serious. And at first I was like, I don't know about this. And earlier I said, like, I'm not big on super gory movies. Like, I can handle gore and violence, and there are some parts that are a little hard to watch in that movie. But it's more like I'm not big on the torture movies where we just see people, like, tied up and forced for a long time to be tortured. And that movie has some of that, but it's not really. There's enough to keep going around. And it says some stuff in horror films I haven't really seen in a while. So I actually like it. Do I like it? Do I like it more than any of the other three? No. But there are some very...
no. Fuck no.
No, but it is
just
good,
like all those ones. Hell no.
It's still good. It's still good. If I saw it for like on a discount rack, I'd totally buy it. The very beginning, it's like has such a crazy fucked up opening. It's like this girl you think is basically going to get like tortured and murdered by like these rednecks and her father. You think that she's this poor innocent girl. It's like the first opening of the movie, and she's like tied up with barbed wire, and she's like, "Daddy, don't!" And you feel bad for her. She's
I like how they
crying,
got
and
the
then
whole.
she's
I like that they have the Hills Have Eyes poster right there in the
yeah, yeah. It's
background.
a cool little
Because
nod.
I think it's actually in the Hills Have Eyes itself. Wes Craven puts a poster of, or no, it's in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think there's a poster of Last House on the Left, or one of those. And then I think in Cabin in the Wood, or not Cabin in the Woods, but Cabin Fever, I think Eli Roth does the same thing too. He puts a poster of another horror movie in his,
Kind of
like
like
a
how
traditional thing.
Michael Bay put a poster for Bad Boys 2 and Transformers 2.
No, that's a little bit different. That's like him advertising his own movie.
I know, I'm joking. I'm joking.
That's like in Fast and the Furious. They're watching dragging a Bruce Lee story.
Yeah. Or actually, no. Here we go. That's like what's a better example of that would be. I was just trying to be kind of funny there. A better example would be like these. Did Bruce Campbell do all these drawings? I think it was Bruce Campbell who did all these drawings, or his friend or his brother did, or something. He
Yeah,
said.
no, I think it was somebody else.
But no. Anyway, no. What was it? There was shit. Like if you look in Book of Eli, there's a poster for a boy and his dog somewhere in like the hotel room that he's staying in.
Yeah, I always think that's just kind of cool. They nod back to the movies that inspired it.
Hmm. Yeah, but as I was saying, no, there's this part where the girl is like tied up, and she like, yeah, just have a poster of that on your wall. That would just be, hang that like right on the ceiling above your bed. I'll go to sleep easy with that. No, there's a girl like tied up, and she's crying. It's like, "Daddy, please don't." I'm like, "I'm sorry, sweetie." She's like, "I'll suck your soul," and her eyes go red and starts screaming. They fucking light her on fire to the point where she's like burnt to a crisp and still kind of laughing, looking at him. So it's like a fucked up movie, but it's pretty good.
I have to watch it at some point. It's not like I'm opposed to it. I think it was just initially it just seemed like why, one of those kind of ones. Like because I guess to me it's like the Evil Dead. I will say it's probably my top three favorite horror movies of all time. This one, Dawn of the Dead, the original '70s one, and probably The Thing are like my three favorite horror films. Mostly, I guess
Those are
you throw "dead" in the title, and I seem to like it more. I don't know why, but I have to say this
so
though,
if
like watching some of these scenes with like the audio off, and it's just like they pick up like this knife with like a skull on. It's just like, it's so funny, but it just looks weird. No audio, just like what the hell are you watching?
and now they're just sitting around. We're doing audio as they listen to audio right here, where I believe it says the books. It says
I was like,
the
I was here reading an Necronomicon, touching myself frantically.
some shit went down. I'm like, oh man, this is fucking hot. Bruce Campbell grabs his girl, like, yeah, I like this shit.
These are the kind of points like if you found this in a basement in Tennessee and you're like, should we stay the night here? You
Yeah,
know,
but it's like you know what? There will be the one guy that says, we drove this far. I already paid for it.
no, there's the one guy that leans over, puts his hand on the shoulder, he's like, yeah, but haven't you always wanted to be in a horror movie? And everybody else is
Not
like,
really.
no,
Not really.
no. Action movie, yes. Sad drama, maybe. Horror movie, not so much.
Even the girls, like the sisters, like, I don't know, I don't like this. There's always that person. She's unfortunately the first to go. I'm wondering how, like, did they have like they probably had portable fog machines back then? Because I'm looking at some of the things they did, like when they had the overall shot at the beginning of the movie where they're going over. Because I know they did this thing on a micro budget. Like I can see how they did that, but I'm wondering how on a micro budget how they did like
because I think this
they're
movie
going
was
over
$400,000 is how much this one cost.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering how they did the stuff with at the beginning when they're going over the water, and you actually saw smoke coming out of the water, like the fog, like a little bog kind of thing.
You probably the old-fashioned way to do smoke was dry ice.
Right, dry. Maybe they just got some dry ice and just tossed it in there. I mean, I'm thinking too high tech. How they get the fog machine to work underwater? Yeah.
It's like, isn't this like a Kiss concert?
Yeah. Where's the pyrotechnics gonna shoot out of the fucking haunted lake?
Well, it's like they all kind of came here and they like lived here for almost like 2 or 3 months or so, and they had no running water. They had a phone line, I think that was about it, and so on. And everybody was just all dirty and nasty and sweaty and pissed off at each other. And then they just kind of, I think like because Sam Raimi and the director realized the way to get good performances out of horror movies is to sort of torture your actors, Stanley Kubrick style.
I really didn't even think about that. I just assumed that they. A few of them stayed there just in scouting. Just like, well, while we're planning it all out, we can stay here rent free and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't really, because I'll be honest, they don't seem. I mean, even though I love this movie, they don't seem that tortured right here. They just seem kind of whatever. And I'm not trying to bring down everybody else in this movie. This is like probably one of my top 5 favorite horror films. I don't know if I got an exact like lineup of which one I like the most or don't like the most, but I think that this is definitely my top 5. And it's really, I want to say, just kind of like the 2 stars of it, really, to me, are Bruce Campbell and then like all the monster effects.
Yeah, definitely. I do have to say here, like, Bruce Campbell has a horrible like unibrow going on in this film. Yeah. And of course, I got to do like the up close like eye shot. This is like
oh
before
wow,
like,
he does.
Hey,
oh, it has a
yeah,
weird little curl directly, like that Superman. His unibrow has a Superman spit curl.
Yeah, it's not really a good thing. It's like nobody kind of told him. It's like Tom Cruise had that problem though early on too. Maybe it was in like kind of the thing. Maybe he was like, oh, I feel like more like Tom Cruise if I got the unibrow going.
Well, he shaves it now. I mean, you know.
Yeah, they both take care of it now. They realize that the unibrow is not an in thing.
Well, like to me, Rami had to talk with them. Like, all right, you want to be back in the next one? You got to do something about this.
Yeah, you wonder why you're not in Crime Wave.
There's only one problem. Literally one problem. Yeah.
Yeah, none. But what we're talking about, this movie, even though this movie's kind of like a low budget movie, it kind of like they still shot it like they were shooting like a regular movie. Like they were going to shoot it in Michigan or whatever in their hometown area, but for some reason like the Tennessee Film Board said, "Hey, come on down. You can shoot here. You know, we'll take care of you and whatnot." So that's how they got a hold of having this house here in Tennessee that they're just kind of hanging out at. And I don't know how far away it actually is from town, but
it seems weird to me though. Of all the people that got to invest in it, they got dentists. Like I don't think it just sounds so weird. Like, hey, dentist, invest in a horror film. It worked, and I'm glad it did.
Well,
it just sounds
you know how he got it though. Because this is one of those stories where sometimes people miss some of like the fine lines. Like they're like, "Oh, he just went around and asked for random people." It's like, well, he had like a friend whose dad was like a lawyer or something like that, and that lawyer helped him get to all those people. That was like the start of it.
Sense. Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't just like something like 20-year-old kids like, "Hey man, you want to invest in like a horror movie? We're gonna show some tits and stuff." And Dennis was like, "Yeah, I love tits. Here's some money."
Big tits right here. There we go.
But no, it was sort of that thing where they did kind of have. I guess like I said, you always like those stories where you just want to be like they get it from nothing. It's like no, well, there was always that pivotal thing like an entire town that they befriended, or you know a lawyer that kind of had a lot of money and power to carry them along.
Yeah, I will say that like even though that he definitely did, he had a town to help him out. Robert Rodriguez seems like the one that had. I'm not saying this to be a dick because it's a fantastic movie. He's one of my favorite directors. But El Mariachi, that almost seemed like when you read that book, it seems like it went by so easy. The only hard thing is just the idea he had to submit himself to human testing. That's like the only thing that seems like okay. That was the catch of it.
Yeah, but like the rest of it just things just sort of worked out just easily. Like everything was just kind of like, huh, that just happened that way, or we couldn't do this, but something better happened around the corner.
I feel so bad for this girl right here. This is like the one part that's just kind of like it's kind of hard to watch. You see someone's shadow on her, like backing up over here for a minute. The cameraman's shadow, but yeah. This part, right? I think this is ultimately the scene that got it like kicked out of like England for a while, and I want to say that I read like on a Cracked article that he actually had to write a thing defending it, and he stopped and he says like, you know what? I really can't defend the scene. I don't know how I can defend it. So he's just like, fuck it, take it out. It's not worth defending. It was just for shock value. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because this is sort of like, yeah, I guess the thing it would probably put it over the edge over anything else in the film.
I would say this movie seems pretty tame, like, because usually when you get like young kids going to a cabin in a horror film, it's usually going to be tits and ass for a good portion of the movie. Where not really in this movie, except for this part, but it's in the worst way possible.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like it's sort of kind of good in that way, because every other film tries to do that so that's mostly how it is. Just like these kids are going out and going partying, but then there's a killer on the loose.
And then they all die for becoming little sluts. In this one, it's just more of like, you feel bad because it's actually, I will say, I'll give it some credit. And I mean, it's still not really a fun scene to watch, but you give it credit for actually being one of the ones like the innocent girl. Like not the girl, the person she's like the person who's there, not even trying to like, because they're all in relationships. She's the only one there. She's like the third wheel of the whole group.
Yeah,
and she's the one
I guess she's
who
the fifth
literally
wheel
gets fucked
in this
over.
group.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. Well, I like how, like, because Friday the 13th, like, I remember people, like, they asked those guys, they're like, was that what, your movie was about? Was saying that, like, because these people did bad things, because they did drugs and drank beer and hung out with Kevin Bacon, like, that's why they got killed?
The Bacon's a
and
bad
the guy's like,
influence
no. He's like, you know what? We made Friday the 13th because we wanted to get a family movie going, and people wouldn't give us money for that. So we made the most family movie we could think of.
Yeah, I think it is one of those things. I mean, I think in time it went more with that. It, like, is like, oh, well, the second the girl has sex, she dies or whatever, or whoever, the second they start doing drugs, they die. I think it went with it in time, but I think that, like, the first one or two, maybe it was just a coincidence.
Well, yeah, I think that it became a trope after a while, but I think at first it was just like, oh, we just wanted to show just some kids, They're probably thinking, like, they're just fucking kids. Fucking kids! I hate children!
I just want to see him fucking die!
These are like the scenes right here where it's always like, depending on who you're with. If
this is not the date movie part.
No, we always talk. There's like some movies that like you should never show to, like, somebody comes over for the first time. It's like you don't show them Clockwork Orange. You don't show them. Probably this one's not a good one to show them either, because even though I know this one's kind of almost a classic movie by now, but same with Clockwork Orange. But to the familiar with like movie cinema,
that just looks like, fucking painful right there.
And let me just like filming it, it's just like, we're gonna drag this thorny looking bush across you.
Yeah.
Can I wear a suit? No. It's got to go across your bare skin.
Just the idea itself, it just looks so in every fucking way painful. I mean, you probably even need me saying that right there, but I mean, oh fuck. But no, this is one of those parts. It is a surprising after this scene though, how many girls I know that still love Evil Dead, which maybe they like Evil Dead 2 more and Army of Darkness more, but you still see like so many girls that love Evil Dead, but which I guess says a lot too. It says a lot if they can look past this scene about how good the rest of the movie is.
Well, yeah, it's one of the ones, if that scene bothers them, they're probably not in the horror movies. Like, that's all I have to kind of say.
Well, I mean, you can handle. I think it's just any kind of rape scene's usually pretty hard to watch. I think that's what more it comes down to. Not so much the fact of like death and murder, just more of like something just is fucking rough as that to watch right there.
Yeah, strange enough, I feel like that's almost like at least it's nature. It's not like
nature.
It's not some
Let's get
horrible,
fucked by nature.
Better than some random hood. Better than Jeff Bridges, or not Jeff Bridges. I mean Jeff Goldblum coming to your house and fucking raping your wife, and then getting away with it in the long run.
Oh, you're talking about Death Wish, right? Okay.
I said Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges shows up at your house. Hey, I'm here to rape your wife. Don't mind me. Here, put these Creedence tapes on.
I'm pretty sure Jeff Bridges, he's too lovable, and he'd be too lovable to do that. I can imagine Jeff Bridges. God damn it, Marley. Oh, god damn it. We're going to just keep this rolling. Hey, Marley, what's up? You're on the podcast right now. If you're going to fuck it up, you might as well be part of the show.
Yeah, he's...
I'm in the bar right
now. Okay, dude. Well, recording the show. Say hi to the podcast. We're on the part where the chick's running away from the tree. Say hi to Spencer, because you're fucking up the show.
Hey, Spence, what's up?
Hey, Marley, what's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sort of.
Wait. Anyway, man, well, I'll let you know when the show is over, okay? So anyway, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right, later, bye.
Yeah. Get the fuck off.
Oh, I love that guy, but he just... Why you fucking calling now, Marley? If we're lucky, he might be on the show later this week, because he's in town visiting, so...
Yeah, but you know how it happened the last 10 times.
No.
Do you ever hate when you get your keys stuck like that?
I was never one of those people that left the key on the fucking...
Well, not necessarily exactly like that, but have you ever gotten your just keys stuck on something and it's just like, God damn it, why the fuck is the key all like caught in there and stuck and jabbed around? Then I think of movies like this. I'm like, see, this could happen. You could be trying to get in there and just having the keys all jammed up.
That's why you practice that for these. You watch the movies when you practice that scenario. Just like, okay, there's a monster coming. I gotta, you just practice the game. You always kind of like. That's why whenever I start heading towards my door, any door, I reach to my pocket and I feel for the key. Like, that's the key. So just go in there, just lock it up real quick.
Yeah, it's just, I think when you watch a copious amount of movies, that just happens. I remember when we were kids, we would treat the screen door at my house. It's like, that's the Jason door. It protects you from Jason. You got to get in there quickly enough before he comes and gets you.
Yeah. Then you'd have what would be the xenomorph door? Just have to like.
I guess if a door protects you from Jason, it'll probably protect you from a xenomorph as well, too.
Yeah. Xenomorph door. You have different rules. You have to come up with a game for it. Like, okay, xenomorph door is the sliding glass door. That's a xenomorph door. Its only weakness.
Sliding glass. It hates it.
It just gets there like, fuck. With the screen door,
oh.
it's good for the screen like net door. That's good for Jason. Like, it's like, fuck. They're only
a screen metal door.
The stupid rules. It's like the stupid rules you come up with when you're a fucking kid. Like, all right, the ground's lava. You can't hop on the ground. The ground's fucking lava.
But you got to get from point A to point B. So.
Yeah. So.
But there's a huge, 20-foot space between, one section of playground and the other. Yeah, well, shit. Tough luck. I guess you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
If you get on top of the monkey bars and try to jump across.
Oh, but it was the fat kid, of course, that couldn't do it.
Well, I can't even climb the monkey bars. Everyone laughs.
I guess you're fucked, fatty.
You're the fat lava monster now.
I don't want to be a lava monster. You're the fat kid. Of course you're going to be the lava monster. I was the fat kid. That's why I'm making this joke.
It's like, I just want to go back and play Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like, nobody's playing Sonic the Hedgehog now. It's like, okay, we'll get...
he's like taking her home, but the car won't start. That's right. There's this part.
And everybody else is like, well, fuck it. I guess we can go back inside.
I'm surprised she left out the fact that she was fucked by a tree. She's like, there's something out there.
Maybe it's one of the ones like, they'll believe me if there's something out there. If I say a tree raped me, they might just all laugh. You know how fucking kids are.
Always talking about their tree raping.
Kids making up stuff and nobody else, other kids not want to believe in them. See, they're always laughing like, oh, trees.
Oh, she's such a... She really needs a fucking boyfriend. That's why she's probably leaving.
It's like... You'd think, okay, if she came back, unscathed, maybe I could see that. But, when somebody comes back all, mangled and beat up, you'd probably be pretty concerned.
Mm-hmm. Just like, whatever. We got a couple hits of E still waiting for us in there. Let's get back to that.
So,
well, she probably just wanted some attention. She was in there drawing fucking clock towers. She got fucking upset. So because she couldn't draw it right, so she started scribbling really hard and blamed it on the fucking tree raping. Whatever. Fuck that chick.
Not the first time it's happened.
This happens every time we take her out into the woods.
One time we went to a national park, and of course all the trees were after looking at her, eyeing her down.
Why does Ash always insist on bringing her? He's even thinking she always calls me Ashley. I say not in front of my friends. They just call me Ash.
I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, did they literally just call her Ashley? Or call him Ashley? It's like I was almost thinking there must be a girl named Ashley there too to top it all off.
Not the case. Not the case. But I do feel bad for his sister more than anybody in this movie.
Yeah, well, some of the I feel kind of like at least the other guy sort of he's like, whatever, fuck that guy. He's kind of a douchebag the whole time, anyways.
He kind of is, and he's like, are there supposed to be eyes back there? Or do you think that's the car in the distance?
I think there's a car in the distance.
Yeah.
Just
fuck, not again. If she lived through this, she would probably be one of those people like, fuck the rainforest. Literally, fuck it.
Yeah. The rainforest fucked me, so I'm gonna fuck it over.
I wouldn't blame her after that. What reason do you need more? It's like that episode of South Park,
Where he's like, yeah, Flea told me it'd be a great place to go. The rainforest is like the coolest place ever, and I went there and it was horrible.
She's like, look what the trees do. They destroy the beautiful creations of man. Fuck this shit.
It's weird how it's like that bridge. That bridge is the only way to go. For some reason, Bruce Campbell has to jump out all scary
Bad timing. All right, sorry. I was trying to make a joke. Bad timing for that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. Shit.
It's like shaking her. She's beaten.
Yeah. Look, quit being such a stupid bitch and get back in the car.
Come on, we'll go hang out with my friends.
Come on, why do you always do this? You're always gonna be so fucking weird with my friends. Come on,
we gotta go listen to more evil stories. I think I got one of those Panasonic tape-to-tape reels upstairs somewhere. We could make our own fucking scary sound. I don't know. It's funny. Old technology always comes across as like it's scary. It's old. Even though I guess at this time period that technology's not very old.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess because the average Joe would be using like a cassette player, so who just leaves their reel-to-reel tape recorder there?
Bruce Campbell's digging it right here. I don't now. I want to say when shit really goes bad, the other guy is the first to be like, "Fuck it, let's get out of here. Fuck the girls. I don't care. No, fuck that."
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's kind of like the douchebag movie. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm doing what I want."
Well, he does look like he does look the stereotypical like '80s douche. He has like the blonde hair. It's all like nice. It's all nice. I want to say earlier he might have had a like sweater like wrapped around his shoulder or something like that.
Yeah.
Now here we are. Here's where shit really goes down in a minute.
Yeah, it's right when it first starts up.
The fuck? Now I'm kind of wondering, this part right here, it looks so trivial. Chances are she was just standing on a stool when they did that part.
I think she's hooked up. No, I want to say that she's like, they got not necessarily like a forklift, but something that's holding her up right in the back through the window.
Through the window, yeah, that would make sense.
They explain it like in the audio commentary with Sam Raimi and whatever. Even though the only thing about that is literally one of those audio commentaries where there'll be moments where they just stop talking for like 6 minutes or so, and you're like, did they go away? Like, what happened? And all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, now we're back. Yeah. Bruce Campbell, he's got loafers on. Yeah, loafers we thought were going to be in forever, and they're not. We try to make his outfit timeless, but the loafers really give it away. And then they disappear again for like 6 minutes. You're like, where the hell did they go?
Like, oh, we never left. We're just here. We're just enjoying the movie just like you guys.
And I think that's kind of where, like, you realize...
This part's nasty. This part when you see with the goes for the Achilles heel right here.
Yeah, she stabs with the pencil.
I think they go for the Achilles heel. Maybe it's the pencil.
Well, she stabs the
pencil there it is.
Yeah, and just digs into it.
That's all, yeah. That's the good shit. No, but there's the other guy who just looks like he came straight out of the LL Bean catalog.
I love this part too because it's like there's like this very light looking fucking bookshelf that falls on him, and then he's stuck underneath it for a while. Like, oh god, and there's nothing on the bookshelf. like But that's one of those ones where, like, when you're making the movie, you don't really think about that. You're like, oh, okay, well, here's a bookshelf. Just have that fall on you, whatever. And then you kind of look at it afterwards. It's like, oh, flimsy old wood.
The guy with the axe would be, like, the one prepared for some shit. But, like, nope, still goes down. Like, oh, I don't know.
Get your bitch ass in there.
Get back in your hole, Margaret! God! They're still, like, not even...
Bruce, this is where your sister belongs.
Like, I can see how this part looks kind of fake. That's pretty fake right there. I get that, but you're working with what you got.
Well, I mean,
that right there,
literally, movie like that that's like the charm of lots of things like that.
Yeah, like the head. You could tell that was something they got like at a Halloween store and probably gobbed some extra makeup on it.
And technically, for $400,000, like at this time period, because unless you're like Robert Rodriguez and put it on VHS, that's what cost more money than anything else was all the film. Like, so that everything else was pretty darn cheap.
Yeah. Now he's like, man, I really wish we had some of that E still, just to fucking, maybe that'd calm her the fuck out.
Nobody was probably taking E. It'd be like Quaaludes or something in these time periods. Or not for these kids. For these kids, it'd be like pot and beer.
You think I like how they're just going back to sleep. Like, yeah, after that, let's just go take a nap.
Yeah, she's locked away. It's okay. It's like that time you brought that bear into your house and we just kind of locked it away.
We just don't go into the kitchen anymore. It'll be fine.
Yeah. We let Yogi have his fridge.
He's not a raptor. He doesn't know how to open doors.
What's funny, like, this sounds weird, but I saw that Tremors 5 movie recently, and it's actually pretty good, but strange enough, I've never seen a movie kind of steal scenes from Jurassic Park till that movie. It had a couple scenes that were just like, one, they were hiding in the kitchen, and they had a handful of shots that were like, shot for shot Jurassic Park, but with an ass blaster coming into the kitchen to get him.
Ass blaster?
That's what they call them. They started out in Tremors 3. They were like kind of like little baby tremor things or whatever, and like they would take flight, but they'd like have like a flaming fart and fly off. It sounds more corny when I explain it. Like when you watch it, and if they didn't call it that, you would never think too much of it. But you'd just be like, oh,
I haven't seen. Go ahead.
I was just say you would just look at it and go, I guess it just has jet fuel out of its rear end.
I haven't seen like Tremors 1 since I was maybe like 10, and I haven't seen any of the other ones.
You never saw Tremors 2?
Nope, never saw Tremors 2. One of them goes back. One of them's like a prequel. It's like is a western, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I actually own it because I have like the Tremors 4-pack on DVD. But in the second one, like, 'cause I used to watch those movies a bunch when I was a kid. I've seen the first one. Probably last time I watched it was like 6 years ago. But that second one, I don't think I've seen since I was like 10 years old. It's been a long time. 10 years old and watched it on Laserdisc somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this right here, this part, I want to say she is the next to go. The girlfriend is. It's been some time since I've seen it, but I want to say, yep, there we go.
He's just like, come on, we're making a fire here. We're going to make it cozy and nice. One of the funny things is
he's trying to set the mood again, is what he's trying to do, but it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. So I'm stoking the fire. He's like, I don't care. She's down there. She's locked away. Come on, it's safe.
Yeah. Sure, she's only like 10 feet away from us, but it's not a big deal. What's she going to do? There is a chain blocking that door.
Apparently towards the end of this movie, or the shooting of this movie, they started running out of resources, so they were just shooting outdoor scenes, so they ended up just burning all the furniture inside this house.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, man.
That's what they made that cool... I was going to say, they made that cool apparatus right there where it was just like, a cool apparatus. It was a 2x4 with a camera attached to it. To bust that window.
The cutting edge.
It's kind of like the Sam Raimi thing. It's just strapped 2x4. That's like really what he used for like a Steadicam. It's like a 2x4 with a camera strapped to it. His ramming thing, a 2x4 with a camera strapped to it. The spinning one, I think it was like a 2x4, on like a wheel.
Well, there's a lot of shots in this movies. They actually got a lot of filler stuff where they would have like you just see it with somebody's like arms or someone's legs. A lot of times that was Sam Raimi or his brother, and I think in the credits they're like listed as fake shims or something like that. I always thought that'd be a great name for like a rockabilly horror theme band, fake shims.
Oh yeah, that'd be a cool. He said he got that. I think he got that from Three Stooges, because that's what they'd called out for all like the stand-in shots or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know that. I missed that part. Yeah.
But
it's like, man, she fucking. I tell her to just chill the fuck out, still by the fire, and what she do? She goes all fucking wily again. God damn it! This trip is not going the way I want it to go. He doesn't even seem that upset or anything. He just seems kind of like, man, it's just such an irritation,
Probably because he's like, you know what? I always wanted to kick Bruce Campbell or Ash's sister in the face, and I got to. So this trip's working out for me. Been looking for a reason all my life for that. So the weird thing about this movie, though, is just Bruce Campbell. You just think of him in the third one. He's just like, I'm here to kick ass. Well, not like, here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. Wrong movie. Well, that's still like the same character's like attitude. And this one, he's just kind of like, oh, I don't know. They call me Ashley now, and things are scary.
I think the big difference is he got that unibrow shaved and he got a gym membership.
Yeah, you get that unibrow away, and everything changes for your life.
Yeah. I have trouble thinking that as the same person, though. But you know what? This is going to sound... Because I know people have heard him on our show, but they haven't really seen him. I think this Bruce Campbell, he looks very similar to Cisco. I'm not going to lie. Even the way fucking Cisco dresses the fucking loafers.
The loafers and a tucked-in shirt.
Yeah.
Like the only like young person that tucks their shirt in this day and age. I don't know what it is. Like, it sounds like the weirdest thing ever, but you can... watch an 80s movie and you could see Mel Gibson or Kurt Russell have a tucked-in shirt and you're like, it looks good on him. If you tried that yourself, you just look like a fucking idiot. Yeah. Like, why is that? Is there just something just like time passed and just nobody can have a tucked-in shirt anymore and not look like a fucking idiot?
Oh, yeah, he's like, I just put a bag on. We can deal with that, right? Shit. No, there's like it's the real weird kind of like fucked up shit where someone like that kind of stuff is the best part of the movie, I think. Like these kind of things.
Yeah, where they're talking and stuff and just like sort of like
you're all gonna die. Yeah. That one's being the cheerleader in the corner.
There go. Good there. Bruce goes get taken down again. Fucking a couple pieces of wood fall on him and he's out.
My only weakness, wood. It must run in the family.
He's trapped. I mean, I understand for like the movie, but I think it's just like when you look at it afterwards, it's just like that's what got him.
If we get it from this angle, it looks a little bit more dense. Except right there. Never mind. That sword, that probably wasn't custom made. They probably had to get that at just like a Celtic fair or something.
I was like, yeah, that's where you go to a flea market and you go like the knife guy, who's also like the ultra conservative guy, but he's got cool guns and knives that you want to buy.
He sells a lot of pellet guns to like 15-year-olds. Like, yeah, this will be good practice for when the Chinese come over.
He's got, you're like, you want a Confederate flag for your room, boy? No, just the pellet gun will be fine. And I'll take that katana too.
Say that now.
You say it now. You want a Confederate flag, boy. Come on.
You want this Confederate flag before Obama makes it illegal.
No, just take the pellet gun and the survival knife. Well, if you're going to go out and survive, you're going to need a Confederate flag too. It's like, oh.
Keep the spirit alive. We live in California. You know that, right?
Yeah, he's like, well, Obama's going to come here, pay himself personally in an aircraft and take away your knife and gun. And
he's going to do it wearing a military uniform, just like Bush did, but it's not going to be the same thing. It's Obama, not Bush.
Except, no, he's not going to be wearing he's going to be wearing a turban and everything, because he's a terrorist.
This isn't about the movie, and I love this part. I love this whole scene with the knife in the back and all this, but I saw one of the, Bill Maher had a bit about, what Republicans hear when they hear Bernie Sanders, and he said something to the effect of, they played audio. He's like, I never agreed with the Vietnam War. This is like what Republicans hear. I wish I fought in the Vietnam War on the other side. Not only that, sometimes I lock John McCain in his office and laugh in a Vietnamese voice. Now we're back to spewing blood and pus and all that fun stuff.
Which almost
that had to be milk. Only thing that could be
I want to say they put the milk in there just to sort of tame it down from having so much blood, but that almost makes it look more disgusting, I think, is the milk combined with the blood. I
would imagine, I'm imagining that what that's supposed to be, probably, in the context of the movie, is just bile, acid, and probably pus, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to be. But I think just that combo of it, I think that almost makes it look worse than just straight if they're spewing blood and whatnot. But I think that was sort of it. Because I know in the second one, that's why they had a bunch of other kind of different types of liquids, was to sort of censor it a bit, to make it pretty much a rated R film. Mm-hmm. But to me, I almost feel like it makes it look kind of nasty. You're like, blood, whatever. I see blood all the time.
I'm wondering if this part in the movie, if that's still the girl just kind of done up in a mask, or if that's actually someone else they gored up.
Yeah, because by that point you could almost put anybody in there. I like how Asher stands there like, huh.
He doesn't look that shocked by this point. He's like, okay, yeah, you do it.
Oh yeah. Good thing Tommy's here to
He's like, don't, just stop. He didn't like her that much in the first place. Like, oh, you're gonna do, okay, you gotta do what you gotta do. That looks like they got a little bit of barbecue pork and shoved it in the part where he's chopping right there.
She's just like, oh.
Okay, you gotta do what you gotta do. Feeling better? You didn't answer me. You feeling better? All right.
There we go. We just chopped her up. I can't remember which one that was. Whose girlfriend was that?
That was his girlfriend. That was actually his
Ash's?
girlfriend. No. That was
the
that
douchebag.
Douchebag.
The fuck's that guy's name anyway? It's like Tommy or something. I don't want to call him Tommy, but it's
not Bruce. Not Bruce.
Yeah, not Bruce.
I believe Bruce's girlfriend is still recuperating from the Achilles heel attack.
That's right.
Which I believe she's next. Which I will say, of all the things, I want to say, doesn't it was the necklace, which kind of, he used the necklace to burn the book. Isn't that's what stops everything, isn't it, at the end of the movie?
Yeah, because he swings it over like a fucking lasso and pulls it in.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Which I will say, it's just kind of that is the most random necklace. Here's a little miniature magnifying glass.
I don't know, I guess you could start a fire with it.
I guess
it's like a survival one.
I guess that's
let's go drag your.
Let's
go bury her out in the backwoods.
It's like, this never happened. This never fucking happened. She got really fucking drunk and she fell down the stairs. All right, if anybody asks.
She just happened to fall into the table saw. It had nothing to do with us. Why we left it on? Shut up, fucking Ash. Ashley. I'm going to tell everybody at fucking school that your name's Ashley when we get back. Could you silence that?
Hi, Laura. No. Well, right here now we get. I wonder.
Just some stupid.
I just could just imagine just like Bruce Campbell hunched down, just running real fast. I know he probably speeds it up, just like running real fast through the woods, like that low to the ground.
Well, I think that's the one too where they put it on like a 2x4, and then they had a couple handles, and they just had people running with it. And that gave it kind of a steady cam look, and I think they might have sped it up.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense right there. But I will say though, I'm really surprised that Ash versus the Evil Dead show is going to finally happen, because for years they've been teasing Evil Dead 4 never coming out, and then finally Ash versus the Evil Dead is finally on its way.
And that's one of those ones, like, I don't know why. It's like, that's like what everybody, because here's the thing about Sam Raimi. He's one of those directors where the Evil Dead movies are so amazing, you just assume that everything else he'll make will be totally amazing. And that's not totally the case. Like, the Spider-Man ones, those ones are really good. But some of the other movies I watch, like, I mean, they're not bad movies, but they're just not up to par to, like, the Evil Dead. You watch, like, The Quick and the Dead. It's a good movie. It's enjoyable. It's like, he's doing something different. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, it's a remake.
That grew on me more as time went on, because it was almost kind of like a video. I thought it'd actually be a really good one to do later on the line, because that one almost feels kind of like a video game, like a 90s video game, because every single one of those characters is over the top in some way or has a weird little theme to them.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that one quite a bit. Well, here's a more example. Darkman. That one's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not bad, not amazing. And, so you sort of see some of his other films, or even like that Oz movie he did. It was just kind of like, yeah. And it's just like, it's sort of that thing. It's like, you know what you're really good at? Let me tell you.
That's a good shot. I love that part. It has this weird web-like, that was like somebody doing stop motion, like with like a pin for a long time, just spreading everywhere. That was a pretty cool shot. The Oz one, I would be more interested in. When I first heard he was doing a Wizard of Oz prequel, I'm not gonna lie, I do like Wizard of Oz. It's not like my favorite film, but I do like it. I was a little more excited because I thought it'd be more like kind of like Spider-Man, like visually something like that. But it looked like a little darker. Not like not this. I knew it would be this shit right here. That's such a creepy shot.
Ash versus the Oz.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be Ash versus the Oz, and that shot of her just sitting there in the fucking hallway smiling is so fucking creepy. It's more the shit of them just when they're not even doing anything, when they're just sitting there and laughing. That's more of like the stuff that gets me more in the actual.
We're going to get you.
Yeah. But like I was excited for that Oz movie till I saw the trailer and it looked more like that Alice in Wonderland bullshit. And that's where I'm just like, oh, never mind. Maybe it's good. I heard it was okay, but whatever.
It's okay is the perfect definition for it. It's like if you watch it, it's not like you felt like you wasted your time, but it's also if you didn't ever see it, you wouldn't be missing anything.
Yeah, I because when I even heard Tim Burton was doing...
That's the review you want on your fucking poster. If you watched it, it would be okay, but if you didn't see it, you wouldn't be missing anything.
Either way, it's a win-win.
Yeah, nobody's really losing here. But it is that thing, it's kind of like Sam Raimi, it's just like... the closest thing Drag Me to Hell is the closest thing we got to like kind of an Evil Dead 4. Because that movie almost feels like it's a spin-off, like it could be in the Evil Dead universe, just happens to take place with different characters.
That was his... Like Evil Dead 4, like I'm saying everything but the title of the movie. Drag Me to Hell, which is one we almost did.
The Quick and the Dead... fuck, what is it?
Dark Man... Dark Wave...
Beat Spider-Man...
Drag
Me to Hell.
Drag Me to Hell was sort of a that was almost kind of like his apology for Spider-Man 3. So many people were like, Spider-Man 2 was awesome. Spider-Man 1 was awesome. Spider-Man 2 was awesome. Spider-Man 3, oh fuck you, we hate Spider-Man 3. And that was kind of like his, okay, I'll get everyone back with this one. And that wasn't a movie that like set the world on fire, but everyone that saw it liked it, and hardcore like Raimi fans were glad to see him go back to his roots, because that movie literally pulls direct like little moments, like just like with the eyeballs and all the gore stuff within into that, which is weird because it's PG-13, which you wouldn't think about it, but it takes so much from the Evil Dead stuff, and it's still like it's, even though it's PG-13, it totally feels like it's part of the Evil Dead universe. And I love that movie. The only thing, even though it's in the title, it's even on the fucking poster, I just don't like the last 15 minutes because I feel like it insults my intelligence.
It's not even like the last 15 minutes. It's literally like the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the part where it's like she she's in the car. They're like, okay, I got to do this one thing. Oh fuck, I dropped the button. Oh wait, here it is. And it's just like, all right, you didn't open it, you didn't double check, you're fucked. I know what that is. So, and then it just next remaining 10, 15 minutes of the movie, I'm just like, none of this fucking matters. None of it matters. Oh, here we go. You're going to hell. Yep, that's what I figured. So, I don't know, maybe that made people think you're judge it too harshly. I love that movie still. I just don't like the last part of it. I think what would have been a little bit more clever is like if it was something like because he was holding the button that was cursed. If Justin Long got dragged to hell, so it's still a sad ending, but it's like one you didn't see coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean there. Yeah, but no, that's the closest we kind of ever got to having an Evil Dead 4. I mean, there's sort of other people that have kind of made, like in a sense, like their own versions of Evil Dead. Like a perfect example is Suda51 and Shinji Mikami's game Shadows of the Damned. Because the cool thing about that one is that game has that feel of almost like if Robert Rodriguez was allowed to do like an Evil Dead movie. And that what it is just a guy, he has to travel into hell to rescue his girlfriend back, and he has to battle all these demons and stuff along the way. One of the coolest games, I can think of in like the last 10 years or so. And strange enough, a game that... I know, that fucking bitch is going off. Some stupid numbers and goddamn Stockton Modesto. But that one right there, that has a lot, feels totally like the Evil Dead, and those are the things you get kind of closest with. And I guess that's kind of like, it's like Mad Max. It took so long for them to come out with that fourth Mad Max movie, so you started getting other people making their kind of versions of it, and then finally we do get Mad Max 4, and it's amazing. So hopefully with Ash vs. the Evil Dead, we'll have that same thing. It's
definitely going for more of Army of Darkness than original Evil Dead, but I think that after this, I don't really. I mean, even though I know it's based, even though this is my favorite one, I think if you were going to do a sequel, you would want to go more Army of Darkness than anything else, because I just think that has more room to be a sequel.
Well, I feel like once you make this, you can't really make this twice, if you know what I mean. It's sort of like it only really works once. So I think Army of Darkness, where that one you can make over and over and over again, and just have tons of different voyages and journeys and so on that Ash could go on, and turn it into an action movie. Because horror movies really only last about one or two films, if that even. Every once in a while somebody's able to pull it off multiple times, but you kind of have to turn into something else at some point.
I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't like horror sequels after a while, because they kind of want. I think you want more killing and all that, but you probably want something a little different than that. And I think maybe that's kind of an example of what's sort of wrong with probably 28 Weeks Later, because 28 Days Later. It was different. It was like a different kind of zombie movie, but at the same time, everybody in it seemed reasonably intelligent, and it was actually flipped the switch on you. Became like the humans became more the villains as the movie went on. But then the second one, people are just doing stupid shit in it the whole way. Even though it's an enjoyable movie and there is more gore and more violence, which was cool, people just weren't as intelligent as they were in the first one. So I think that's kind of the hard thing about making a good horror sequel.
No, yeah, I think that's kind of how it is. Even though I will say there's a lot of franchises I like horror movie-wise where this way down the line is some of my favorite ones. Like Friday the 13th Part 8, I think is the best one out of all the Friday the 13th movies. And that's so far down, you just don't think that they'd be even good by that point. But for some reason it is, even though they kind of... After that movie, though, is where they start to go really downhill. When you get Jason X in space. Yeah.
When you go to space, unless it's Mario Galaxy, that's where you know it's starting to go downhill.
Yeah, there's few things that can go to space and be fine. You're going to have to carry this on your own for a second.
All right, well, Spencer has to go for some reason, but I'm just chilling here with you guys for a minute. So what we got here is I'm doing the thing I hate right now, where I just narrate what's going on, but I always thought this scene was always pretty fucked up. The whole, not as fucked up as the tree scene, but still pretty gnarly right here. I'm just going to imagine, how do you fucking talk the actress into, okay, we're going to have you just stay in this house for about 3 months, have you limited rations, all that, and still you're going to, at the end of it all, we're going to doll you up in all this horror makeup just to have you get kicked around and slide around and, oh yeah, lick some red corn syrup. And you're back. It was so bad with my time away right there. Your time away was so bad, dude. You really probably could have just put a long bleep over everything. We should probably just keep this silence.
I like it for some reason. The second that I leave, you're always like, okay, something just went wrong. Like, whatever happened in that last 30 seconds, just get rid of it, man. Just don't even fucking show it there. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what happened. It was almost...
I get separation anxiety. Like, I can't do this alone.
Just feels like, when people leave me, I just start doing weird things. I mean, not Evil Dead weird, but, you know.
I'm trying to keep it talk like, yeah, I thought this scene was fucked up. I wonder how you keep this scene, how you talk the actor into doing this. Yeah, you know, so.
Yeah, you just start going, I don't know, you'd be like Kevin Smith, and he could pull off doing an audio commentary by himself.
Yeah, because he has something to say about the movie that he actually fucking made.
Oh, okay, let me rephrase that. He could do an audio commentary on a movie he has nothing to do with, like The Bad News Bears.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't finish that one.
So, yeah, about that solo podcast thing.
Yeah.
You gotta be British to be... I think you just gotta be British to be solo, though, and be like, well, you see here, in the Evil Dead, as he's dragging the body away, you can tell by the signs here that what's going on is that it's...
Like that shot of the fucking chick in the basement, just like, you know. One right there,
great stuff.
She looks kind of like the fucking the clown from Spawn right there.
John Leguizamo?
Yeah.
I think that's one of John Leguizamo's best performances because you can't even tell that's him unless somebody tells you that.
Yeah, yeah. Even though people hate that movie.
I like that movie. I don't know what people got against it. I mean, it's definitely a low-budget movie, even though, strangely enough, it's got, like, Industrial Light and Magic fucking doing the special effects on that film.
It's at that point, right, when we thought, like, right when, like, any kind of CG we were impressed by, because it just looks so weird and different, but then you just give it, like, another 10 years, just like, oh, that's really bad.
Yeah, that one was like, yeah, because it just literally looks like you're watching PlayStation CG.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you saw a Power Rangers movie for the first time, you saw that CG, like, it looks so cool! And then, like, later, you just look like, oh, wow, that totally does look like a PlayStation 1 level CG.
Yeah, it was that time where it's like, after Jurassic Park and Terminator 2, anything is possible! And you're like, well, you know, those guys, when they did CG, they picked certain areas to do it at, not just anything.
And for some reason, that dinosaur, it still looks better than most CG today. The T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
I still think that Jurassic Park, that CG is better than mostly every CG there is out there. Mm-hmm. That's one of those ones that, like, there's only one scene in that entire film where I feel like you can kind of tell the CG, and it's just in the very beginning when they see the Brontosaurus or Brachiosaurus. Mm-hmm. That's about the only. It's not like it looks bad, but you can kind of see, and maybe just because it's bright out and daylight and so on. But mm-hmm. I think the scene right here where he's burying, like, his girlfriend or whatnot, they shot this in, like, Sam Raimi's backyard because this stuff was they shot after they were done with the cabin.
There's kind of a light in the
technically when it's blackout and there's smoke going around, you can shoot this anywhere. You can shoot this in the middle of a city almost.
We literally, that's true because when we were doing the drunk Batman movie, and we're doing the part where there's a flashback and Kyle is playing Bruce Wayne. It's kind of, when I pointed out, you can kind of see it, but if I had to say nothing, you probably couldn't tell. You guys are literally marching in place as you're walking through the woods, and you couldn't really even tell because it was that dark out.
Yeah, well, because you realize that, like, when you shoot at nighttime, all you gotta do is have some light on the character, and that's it. It doesn't make a fucking difference about the back. It's nighttime.
Yeah.
And if anybody complains about it, be like, what, you never been outside at nighttime? Unless the moon's out, you can't see shit.
Like this part right here, I want to say, like, because I'm thinking about the remake, and I think about this part. Like, remember they had a whole part where he's trying to bury his sister, and she's like, "Why are you doing this, Billy? Why are you doing this? I thought you loved me. You'd always be there for me." You know, that whole kind of shit.
Now, in that remake, is there actually an Ash character in it? Like, named Ash?
There's basically, not that I remember. No, there's basically two characters. There's a guy that looks kind of like he could be Ash, maybe, like not Bruce Campbell, but this version of Ash. He has a little bit of a beard. It looks like it could be him. And then there's the girl who basically gets raped by a tree, and she ends up basically becoming the main kind of Ash, because she's the lone survivor, and she gets her arm ripped off, and she ends up... It kind of fuses it fuses a little bit of, like, all the Evil Deads at once, because after she's, like, the last one alive, an evil clone of her crawls out of the ground and, like, starts chasing her around. So it takes a little bit of moments of all of them, but it's predominantly still trying to be this one because it's trying to go with it's taking itself seriously. It's not trying to be funny.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering if there was like a full-on Ash character in it, but I didn't think there was.
I remember her name. I think it was Mia or Maya. I think that was her name. And then he took the time to make a cross after all this shit. Like, look, I know I may die before the sun comes up, but shit, a cross needs to go right here.
Yeah, gotta make this a legitimate grave.
Yeah. Here comes the hand. Once he grabs that shit.
Mm-hmm. Pops out.
Oh, fuck, I might as well take this back to the pawn shop. Fuck. Oh, fuck.
Fuck it, might as well get my money back.
Yeah. You cheat, fuck!
I was just like literally just tears 11 daylights out of his leg.
I just can't imagine the nails being that sharp, but I'm not going to be that nitpick. I'm not going to be that guy that nitpicks. Like, this is highly unrealistic. To cause that much friction upon the skin to cause bleeding would take incredibly sharp nails.
It was like the kind of people, whenever you hear those people, it's like, just don't fucking watch movies. Like, you just don't belong here. It's kind of like, it's funny, like, whenever I'm
not going to lie, I do enjoy this.
Bashing her in the head.
Just hit something with a stick. He's using his camera techniques. That's probably the like apparatus he was using to like push the camera.
We don't need this anymore. How about you beat it with her?
Yeah.
Or beat her with it. It's kind of that thing where we use like the tripods for guns.
Well,
we don't really need this anymore.
It's like wood, his one weakness. He's using it against her.
I know.
Oh fuck, he's next to the other wood. He's fucked now.
Oh god, the cross is holding him down.
Yeah.
I like that part.
Fuck your couch. There you go.
It just gets squirted with blood.
Oh yeah, that's the tasty shit. I can imagine it being like kind of like the small budget. The people asking people like just like, all right, now I know that I've kind of like starved you guys for a while, but at some point we're gonna have to bury you down to your neck. We're gonna paint your face up, and you're gonna have to scream and do all this horrible shit.
Exactly, and there's like a fake doll or like mannequin head right there.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's kind of amazing how this movie got made when it gets down to it. I still love it though.
No, it just is. It's just such a fantastic film.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Kevin Smith was talking about this, and he said it's weird because they're total like exact opposites of my movie, but this and El Mariachi were two of his biggest inspirations, and Slackers.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Slackers before though?
No, I mean I've seen clips of it, and it looks like, in all honesty, I mean I want to see it because I do like Linklater, but I look at it, and I just kind of like, these are people I fucking hate. So.
Well, that movie is literally the movie, like, you watch that and you go, like, of course I see why Kevin's going to say you make a movie, because the movie's kind of like, it's kind of almost like a shitty movie. Like, it's so, like, about nothing. All it is people talking about, like, theories, and it's like that 90s thing where it's just like, I have all this, my parents have all this money, so I can, like, stand here and talk about what's wrong with the world and not really do anything about it, and just talk for a long time. That's all it is, just a bunch of those fucking conversations over and over again. And just long shots, and you literally look at it, and it's like, it's not a very good movie, but it is kind of like that movie you watch and go, if somebody can make this, I can see how I could make a movie. Because
No, I could see that right there. I mean, I want to see it just so I can say I saw it, because I know how important people say it is. I mean, I do like Linklater, but that's one. It's just kind of like, I bet Boyhood's probably the better version of it, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's probably not even like Boyhood compared to that.
Boyhood doesn't even have like a real story, and no, I'm not saying that as a dick. It's literally because it doesn't go by any movie formula. It's literally just following this boy's life, and you think, oh man, he's getting into a car, he had a few to drink, he's probably gonna fucking crash and end up like ruining his whole life, and then a year later
he's gonna be like Christian Bale and Out of the Furnace.
Yeah, and then a year later he'll be like living in a bathroom, sucking dick for a living, saying, "What happened to my life?" But not the case. He just had a few drinks and on to like the next day. Not a big deal at all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I realized how my mind goes to the worst thing possible watching that movie, because I'm watching like, oh, these kids are drunk, they're playing with saws, they're in a house under construction, they're just throwing saw blades at a wall, it's gonna bounce off and hit someone in the neck. I'm like, oh no, not the case.
Nope.
They're just hanging out. Like this movie, this is the case where everything that you think's going to go bad does go bad.
It does. And technically, you can see like right here at the very end, like the last 20 minutes. This probably was the thing where people are like, you know what was the best part of that film though was the last 20 minutes. So when they made Evil Dead 2, that's kind of almost how the movie starts off. You know, like the last 20 minutes, that's the whole movie.
Well, the first like 10, 15 minutes, it's kind of like Evil Dead abridged. Just kind of sum it all up really quickly, and then it kind of carries on from where this left off, where he gets possessed.
Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of the cool thing about the second one that I come to appreciate over time is like I do like how it does start instantly because I think when the first time you watch a horror movie, I think the extended I always feel like it's 70s style horror films like
I wonder how they did that light bulb right there.
Let's pour some blood into a light bulb.
Yeah, I wonder how they did
like
that.
Everything just starts playing by itself and it's got stop motion animation and everything. But I think that thing of having that long 70s opening, that works great the first time you see a movie, but I will say that, the multiple times you see it, you're kind of like, okay, let's get to it, I know what happens here. There is something to be said about having that, though, because it is that thing where by taking that, half an hour to an hour where nothing really happens, like horror-wise, it kind of makes you forget that you're watching a horror movie for a second, so when the scares do happen, they kind of can surprise you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Where, like, some movies nowadays, like, the fucking intro shot is a horror movie scene.
Yeah. Well, I still, even though the second one totally is a horror film, it's so consistent with everything that it's not really, and it has, like, a couple of jump scares right from the get-go that I think that it's almost, the second one is actually part action film, I think, because it's so consistent. It's happening so much and so fast that it's hard to get kind of scared by it.
Exactly, and I think that's kind of thing. If you don't have that 70s build-up going, you lose a little bit of the horrorness, and I think it works. I mean, like as I said, I think that works really good the first time you see a movie. It's perfect. Here's for example, Halloween, the original John Carpenter's one. The first time you watch it, it works fine, but kind of like the second and third time you kind of go to see it, you're like, it literally takes over an hour for anything to happen in that film, and you just kind of realize that, okay, Mike Myers is in the movie for what, 20 minutes?
Yeah. Don't hate me. I'd never seen the original Halloween.
It's one of those ones you should see it because one, it's John Carpenter when he's the master.
Yeah,
the better version of it though is the Rob Zombie one. Like Rob Zombie takes that movie and just expands the fuck out of it.
Daring words there, very daring words.
I kid you not, that Rob Zombie one, I would almost say it's in my top 10 favorite horror movies. I thought that was such a good fucking film because it takes something you know and love, Mike Myers, Halloween, and then. I think it's just not only is the movie just done extraordinarily well, but just all the little things he adds into it, backstories and so on. I mean, obviously there's like 6 Halloween movies you could kind of pull from before it, but still, that to me, that's the best Rob Zombie film he's done is that one.
Going back to this for a minute right here.
Yeah, go back to the movie we're watching.
This he right there now that maybe now he's more roughed up and gruffed up. He actually does look more like Bruce Campbell. I know I've been watching Bruce Campbell this whole time, but now. Maybe just took some blood and some like muck on him, but yeah, now he actually does look like Bruce Campbell to me.
It's a lot of things. Like the one thing I think that always
that's such a cool shot right there.
Yeah, it's all there's just so many sweet shots in this film. I think it's like a cinematographer, or anybody who's really in the movies and creating them. This movie just has every shot's cool.
Really want a shot of your
Dutch angles. Yeah, exactly. Just the ones where they're running through and so on. It's just there's so much neat things going on in this whole film.
Like that shot right there, that Dutch angle down the hallway.
Yeah, and then it starts zooming in at him. He starts running away. Close the door on it.
It's the girlfriend, or is it the friend, his buddy? He's gonna get another one pretty soon.
Because if anything, this movie's almost like it's like a cinematographer's like film.
You think about that? That's probably not right there. That's clearly string or something like that. But yeah. There's the other one, that'd be like 3 other people on the other side of on those just like opening up real fast and real quick like that.
As long as you can't see them.
Yep, it's magic.
Movie magic is fun. I think this is a really cool special effect right here.
Well, I forgot about this part. I can't believe I forgot about this part right here.
Yeah, they just do it really good. Like it flows nicely.
I am kind of like, I always kind of like, one of the most, it's weird though, because one of the most iconic things people think of Evil Dead is like the the shotgun arm or the chainsaw arm, where, and like when you think about, oh wait, yeah, that doesn't happen until the second one.
And that doesn't happen until like the end of the second one too, which is kind of weird. Like, I guess the first time I was going into the second one, I expected it to be almost like that happened in the beginning, and that movie's almost more like Army of Darkness. But even in that movie, he almost doesn't really have too much of the catchy phrases either. He's got like two of them, and once again, they don't happen until like the end of it.
I think by the time they got to number 3, I'm like, okay, this is what it is now. We're already this far. Fuck it, you know?
Exactly. I think it was just like they can just go full on.
Mm-hmm. Which they made him more of like a demon hunter, and I think I'm surprised it took so long for him to get to make number 4. And I guess the idea of a TV show never seemed possible up until this day and age, until you reach this HBO or Go or Netflix kind of age, even though it's going to Showtime.
No, it's going to Stars.
It's going to Stars? Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the things. That's like one of the only things. Like, oh well, I mean, I'm sure it'll probably come on. It might come on like Netflix at some point or something. But it's one of those things. Like that's like they're like, you know, that's probably how like something like HBO is still around. It's like, okay, well, we got Game of Thrones in boxing.
Well, because HBO though, you just buy HBO like it's Hulu or something like that. You don't have to have TV for HBO anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know if Stars is like that too. I mean, that'd almost be worth getting it just to see that show, but instead it'd be like another fucking expense of like different TV networks or like streaming networks you got to go out and get.
Or I can just probably buy the Blu-ray set on DVD when it comes out.
I know. It's one of those like I almost like I think the show idea is cool because you get like a little bit more episodes and so on. I almost kind of wish it was like in theaters though, but whatever.
I mean, who knows? This day and age, I love that shot where it goes right to the cheek right there.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
This day and age, that seems more plausible that it could happen. I mean, the fact we're getting an Evil Dead show says a lot. And even though I know you're not the biggest fan of it, and I liked the first season, but I wasn't in love with it. The fact that we got like didn't he look like a little bit of a cat with the kind of like the brown on his nose right there? Looks like a cat right here.
Got a cat nose going on.
But anyway. Don't you think that it shows that we've come a lot, and now one of the most popular television shows in history is a zombie show?
Yeah, and a comic book one. Even though that's sort of like the part of the downfall of like where zombies started was with that show, and it's like kind of like what separated like original zombie fans from like new modern zombie fans.
Totally like a fucking cat right there with the black on his nose. So I cut you off. I blows my mind.
Almost like Peter Criss and Kiss.
Yeah. Maybe I could see that being like originally a Catman a Catman mask or something like that, but at the last minute they're just like, oh, we'll just throw some more mud and whatever on it.
Mud and blood.
That'd be a good metal band name.
Blood and blood. Or blood and guns.
Blood and guns. That was we gotta finish that movie someday. Maybe do an audio commentary on that.
We should, dude, because that was a movie. I remember like we saw that. It was just a VHS cover. And it was just like, oh my god, this is the ultimate drunk Batman movie. It was just like this guy looked kind of like Rambo on the cover. There's like some chick like half naked, some terrorist guy blowing up, explosions, guns, and then in the very bottom it had what's his name?
Orson Welles.
Yes, also like has Orson Welles as the evil dictator in it. It's just like, oh my god.
Just like featuring Orson Welles, like probably a year before he died.
I don't know. It was right around that same time as Transformers, so. He gets a necklace and tosses
looks like he's struggling like zombie grandpa right here because he has gray hair. And zombie grandma as well.
It's doing like the
dun,
dance.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh fuck! Never mind. Oh shit! He probably
toss me the necklace. Toss me the book.
You know, he had that song playing in his head right before like that hit came.
No, he didn't, because this movie came out before that, or this movie was being made before that movie was out.
That's a good point. All right, maybe the what's his name? Doc Savage theme, whatever that is.
Yeah, because this movie was shot in '80.
That makes sense. That's a good point right there. I'm sorry, zombie grandpa. Sorry, zombie grandma.
I think a fire always just gets rid of things in life.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you don't know what to do with it, burn it.
It's America, goddammit.
America, we burn anything we want.
I want to say in the original draft, he actually uses a magnifying glass to catch it on fire, but they were having trouble filming it that way, so they just went with he lassoed it.
Yeah, just well, I know because in this film, like Sam Raimi just came up with a lot of the stuff on the spot, which
And it
obviously
shows, and that's not in a bad way. I don't mean that. It does show, but it's kind of cool and clever the way he does it, though. Everything.
there's some of the cool stuff here. They got like all the stop motion claymation stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
See, these are the things you just don't get in films anymore, and I think this is what makes them really sweet. Like other good horror movies like kind of have stuff like that is Dead Alive. Once again, that movie's got "dead" in the title.
This is probably some more expensive stuff in the movie right here. Probably all these shots right here. At least definitely most time consuming.
Yeah, more time consuming. I guess I don't think that's necessarily expensive. I think it's just time consuming and then just kind of like a pain if you screw up because you got to restart.
I want
Which
to
is
say
funny.
I like kind of like when he goes to the book in a second. Is it the second one where like the hands come out of the book and try to drag him into hell, or
Yeah, I don't think it's this one.
Yeah,
You got like the guacamole coming out or whatever the heck that is.
yeah, that looks like horseradish,
Maybe a mix.
the oatmeal or something. Yeah.
Oatmeal radish. But that's the thing. That's like what you like. I think that's kind of like what kind of brought horror movies down for a while is the fact that to make a good horror movie, you need real special effects. CG just doesn't cut it. I mean, a ghost movie, whatever, but when it's everything else, it just looks much cooler. Like that, like
this shit right here. Yep, there we go. Yeah.
And that's where I just think. I mean, there was that good period in the beginning of the 2000s where they did a bunch of remakes, but they made some really sweet ones like Hills Have Eyes and Halloween and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these movies nowadays, when they get CG in it, it just instantly makes it not scary sometimes.
This is all the money shot of the movie. Literally, that's the money shot, literally.
Yeah.
And that looks like you got a bunch of ice cream. It looks like they grabbed like a bunch of random food, meshed it together, and then threw bugs in there.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know, just like clay falling apart.
Mm-hmm. Gumby's cousin.
Gumby and
Sam Raimi
Pokey.
doing Gumby. I'd like to see that.
Like see it, Gumby and Pokey.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a matter of time before they do another kind of like because they're all going off for nostalgia. Gumby's on his way out the door. People are forgetting who he is. They're about to do that Peanuts movie, which actually looks pretty good in my opinion.
I like the animation of Peanuts because the animation's kind of like it's partially almost like cheap animation. It looks like something that somebody almost could have made on the internet with a couple of other guys. But I think that almost gives it some charm.
Are you talking about the new movie coming out? The actual
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually want to see. I always liked the Peanuts Gallery, but that actually. Let's talk about this total PG movie. He's covered in blood, and all this death and massacre all around him. He's like, I want to go see the Peanuts too. I'm gonna need some joy in my life after all this shit. Goddamn.
I think like that like sticky ass like blood mixture, which I remember we used on a couple movies at first, and then you realize you're like, no, just make blood out of like Kool-Aid, and then it's all like drinkable and not nasty and sticky and like takes like a half an hour shower to get it off.
We did one movie where I actually where the idea was at some point I was beating the fuck out of Marshall. And somebody was throwing the stuff on me, so it looked like blood was flying on me, but none of the blood was actually hitting the can. You couldn't see it hitting on me, so I'm just drenched in this shit, all this red sticky shit that wouldn't come out. It's like, well, I just lost my. I'm never using these shorts again. This ain't coming out. And we didn't even catch it on camera. Me punching up. We just saw me swinging down. We saw a few drips fly, but you don't see it getting on me. It's just everywhere on me. And then like we're driving past the cop. I'm like, oh boy. Here we go.
Pulls over. What have you boys been up doing? Making a movie.
Yeah.
Making a movie just always.
We got the fourth actor in the back of the car. Want to see?
It's just fucking like a fake dead body.
Yeah.
I think this shot right here, they shot it like they were on a motorcycle driving through with the camera attached.
Probably they had probably the camera very low to the ground. If I'd imagine like someone's probably riding on the back of the motorcycle. Oh, maybe even that right. I could see even that right there. Like that's an impressive shot.
They might have put the camera either on like the handlebars or something like that. I don't know because it's shot on a 16 millimeter camera, so those aren't that big of units compared to like a 35 millimeter.
Well, there it is. One of the best horror films ever made.
No, yeah, it totally. This is just like it's almost like one of the pinnacles of like horror films too. because in the '90s, there's some good movies in the '90s, that I like. Like I like Urban Legend. Scream ones, it's good. It's not like Wes Craven's best one or anything like that. But that was kind of a period where they kind of like died off a bit, and then they sort of picked.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then as I said, they picked up sort of in the early 2000s when they did the Hills Have Eyes remake, Halloween, and there was a handful of other ones at that time period. That's sort of when you got Cabin Fever. It came out and whatnot. But then it's kind of like, you think about it, like almost no horror movies come into theaters anymore very often. You probably get less than 5 a year that are like, not like in small theaters, but in major motion picture theaters.
Well, it seems kind of weird because horror films are usually pretty cheap to make too.
Yeah, and it's like the only ones you mostly get is you get a Paranormal Activity, then you get a rip-off of Paranormal Activity, and then there's mostly one other like horror film, and then there's ones that are kind of like partial horror movies, like it's a like horror action or something like that. But it just seems like that genre is that and kung fu movies, because you never get kung fu movies anymore in theaters. They're just straight to video nowadays, at least in America.
The last big horror film, I haven't seen it, I want to see it, but the next really big one that I can think that came out was Crimson Peak, that Guillermo del Toro movie.
I know. I was thinking about going to see that one. I meant to go see it like last week. Well, what I went and saw instead is I saw The Last Witch Hunter, which is like a partial horror movie, more like a horror action. But that's
what it looked more like an action movie. It was without because that'll be its own podcast possibly. Was that one any good, or was it okay? Or
it was one. Did you ever see Babylon AD with Vin Diesel?
No.
Well, it was one of those kind of ones where like it was a good movie, but just wasn't amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it was enjoyable, but like could have been way cooler.
Was it PG-13?
Yeah, it's PG-13, but it's funny because like Michael Caine's in there too, and Vin Diesel's supposed to be this guy. He's like kind of like immortal, and he hunts witches for like the last 800 years or whatever it is, and he has all these like kind of like his like little like Christian buddies that kind of like help him out and so on. And Michael Caine's there too, and Michael Caine's old and whatnot, and Vin Diesel's just like, boy, what are you doing? Like, I like this kid. He's a good kid. Because to him, he's, like a child compared to how old Vin Diesel's character is. But it's just funny watching Vin Diesel call Michael Caine. Yeah, he's a good boy, He's my favorite of them all. All the kids I had to, live with. No, it's one of those ones,
I'm having trouble imagining Michael Caine give Vin Diesel a Happy Father's Day card.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those ones, like, if you saw it in theaters, it's still good to see. I wouldn't say you have to go totally out of your way to go and see it, But no, I enjoyed it. It was kind of like the Babylon AD was like that too. It was like it had some neat stuff in it, but it wasn't like the most amazing like Vin Diesel film.
Yeah,
it wasn't a Riddick, I'll tell you that. But
yeah, I want to see Crimson Peak because it actually looks like a big flashy kind of horror film. So I mean, they usually. Earlier I said they're not that expensive. That movie actually looks kind of expensive. Maybe it's not, but it looks kind of expensive. But
that's what looks like almost like a Hollywood horror movie. I don't mean that like in a bad way like that name, but I mean like it has a big budget behind it. It's not a little. I mean, it's Guillermo del Toro. He's a huge director, so.
It looks like Guillermo del Toro when you kind of like make a movie like let Guillermo del Toro do what Guillermo del Toro wants to do, and I think that's what that movie looks like. I'm looking forward to it. I think he kind of needs sometimes another writer just because English isn't his first language. But regardless, I mainly go see his movies just because they're visually interesting. Like the Hellboy films, it's not that the writing is so good. The writing's good enough to get the point across, and the story's good enough to get the point across. But it's just they're so visually amazing. And I love his creature effect stuff, and he does a lot of practical stuff mixed in with CG. So, and that's kind of what, that's one of the reasons I like the Hellboy movies. And I really want to see this one. I want to see. It's playing down the road for me, but I just haven't got around to check it out yet.
Crimson Peak, yeah. That one and the Goosebumps one. I'm going to see one or the other tomorrow. Probably the Goosebumps one first, just because it's like a 90s kids thing. You just got to kind of see it.
Well, now we live in this age where I was going to say earlier, Scream seems like something. It almost seems kind of a little ahead of its time because now that it's a self-aware horror film, and it seems now we're living in very much this age of self-awareness, and sometimes they kind of like play that to death. And Goosebumps is very much that because it's actually. Wes saw it. He told me it's a little bit of a horror film, but it's more of a fun comedy.
I assume so. I mean, like, technically, Goosebumps is one. No matter, you're going to see a kids movie. It's not like you're going to see, yeah. It'd be cool to see them do is to take the Goosebumps. I'm kind of surprised they didn't do this because Here's the thing about Goosebumps, though. It's like, have they made a Goosebumps something past about 2000 or so?
I think something that happened was they, on Halloween, on one of the channels, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, they would replay old episodes and marathon them. And it had a huge spike, and people would be like, "Oh, I remember this shit." Now Nickelodeon's literally at the point where it has its own like '90s channel. It's called Splat, and I think now people are just riding this nostalgia train. So they said, "Well, you know what? People who grew up reading these books, they may be young parents, but there's definitely parents in that crowd by now." So
well, that's what I mean, though. This is what I'm saying is, obviously some kids might catch it as reruns, but it seems like its target audience is us. Me and you are like the most like target audience plays for Goosebumps. So thinking that your target audience is all in like their mid 20s to mid 30s, you think you would almost just say like, hey, you could almost make this a full-on rated R movie because that's the people you're shooting towards. They're all grown up now. Even though I think it is supposed to be a movie like, hey, when you were a kid, you liked this. Now here's one you could take your kids to, which I guess that's the other thing. But it almost feels like you could have made this like a rated R movie and gone just that extra step, just knowing that the people that know what you're doing are all adults.
Well, the thing about the actual Goosebumps books, which I didn't read a whole lot of them, I read a few of them, and those always had they never seemed funny. They were always very like bleak and very straightforward, and they weren't like, they may have been made for kids and they may have seemed a little cheesy, but they were never made to be funny. And even the shows they were based off of,
they were scary.
We can laugh about it now. They were kind of scary. There's the one where there's a kid who had like a furnace that talked to him, and he the furnace would give him whatever he wanted if he just, it was kind of like, feed me, Seymour. It was kind of like that.
Feed me, Seymour. Put your wiener inside me. What?
Nothing. Feed me, Seymour. Feed me your balls. What was that? Nothing.
I thought you wanted me to feed you humans. No, Seymour, I'm just in love with you. I just want to get some plant-on-man action.
Evil Dead 2. The original Evil Dead 2.
But, no, it's like, the Goosebumps one, that's the thing about it, though. The stories are almost pretty darn serious stories, just that thing where they're toned down enough so that a kid could, read it or watch it. There's
the Monster Mask one. I think that was the name of it, the Monster Mask, where
the
little girl puts on the mask, and she the guy's like, you can't have this fucking mask, kid. He's like, I want the mask, and puts it on and leaves, runs away to the store. Then she becomes more monstrous, but then it's becoming her face. She's like, I can't get it off, Mom. And he's like, it's some bullshit like only love can make the mask go away, and like comes off. But anyone who puts it on again, they're fucked. They can never take it off again if someone puts that mask on and manages to get it off. And then later, she's like, I'm so happy, I got the mask off, yay! And the little brother comes around the corner, hey, I got the mask on. I'm like, oh, fuck,
End of episode.
That wasn't the exact writing, but...
No, that's
kind of... Old Man Orange, Goosebumps abridged.
Yeah, exactly. But, no, it's still one I just feel like you gotta kind of check it out. It's just like 90s nostalgia right there. And I think that's what they're shooting for, is just to say, hey, you like this as a kid, come see it, and then bring kids to see it too. Do you have to have kids? No, just show up with ice cream and candy to like the nearest elementary school and say, hey, let's go see Goosebumps, kids.
Get in the van.
Get in the van.
No, but there's
Teacher, can we go with the scary guy that wants to take us to the horror movie? He's got ice cream and candy. Well, you know what they always say, ice cream and candy leads the way.
You just see some guy, just some creepy old fat guy with a big tub of ice cream around his like arm. He's like scooping up ice cream, plopping on the ground, like leaving a trail to the van. But there was I will say that I'm kind of wondering, because right now we're in this huge, to us it seems kind of like really cool and kind of like, wow, it's happening, because of all this stuff is kind of coming out like, hey, remember this, remember that, remember this, remember that. There's going to come a time, like in 10, 15 years possibly, where people are going to look back like, oh my God, remember when they would like so much like, they would like, they would try to like do so much to like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, fuck, I'm drawing a blank on it, but they'd try to like they'd try so hard to please like this generation and just off nostalgia, and nothing new came out for a while. I could almost hear kind of like an in-depth like film conversation happening because of that. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing, though. They've done that for many of years, though. They always kind of, we just happen to be in the area now where they're doing the 90s pullback, but they did it all the time before, like almost you could say in the 90s, they did a lot of 70s stuff. That was the time period to start up like, hey, these people from the 70s are now, older, so let's make stuff like, remember this? And that, even as kind of a start to that, sort of like, or not start, but the big one of that was that 70s show. But that was when they started doing things like they did the Charlie's Angels movies, they did the Mission Impossible films, even though that's 60s, but, they started doing that kind of stuff then, hearkening back to 60s, 70s people. And then in about the 2000s, they started making some things hearkening back to like the 80s. And now we're kind of at a time period where they start hearkening back to the 90s, going, hey, remember all this cool stuff?
I guess you got a point there. I guess now it seems like there's so much.
Here's another one. In the 70s, they made a lot of stuff that harkened back to the 50s. So,
that's true.
You got Happy Days and American Graffiti.
It's always kind of been there to some extent. That you're definitely right about that. I guess there's just something about it now. I feel like it's way more encapsulated, and it really, I guess, because now before it seemed a lot more of like, how do I put it? Before it seemed like Charlie's Angels. You remember this shit? Oh, remember this old show? Remember that old show? Almost trying to remind you how cool it is. Where now it seems like now we got more of them that are almost being made out of a sense of kind of like, ha ha, nudge nudge, wink wink. We're going to try and make it funny. We're going to try and make it cool, but it is kind of ridiculous. Kind of like, even though I didn't see the second one, I heard it's good, but like 21 Jump Street, how, yeah, that's being made, but rather than try and treat it so serious, probably like a 90s remake would remake, or like an 80s remake possibly, they're doing it like, this is really cheesy. Where something like Goosebumps, instead of treating it seriously, like another remake would have made, now we're in the age where like, yeah, it's self-aware, it's going to be kind of silly, kind of like Legos, where I could see possibly, even though if a Lego movie got made probably back in the 80s and 90s, I could still see it being like a comedy, but probably not nearly as clever as it was, Yeah,
I see what you're saying. You're talking about the self-aware movies, which sometimes, like, that's always an iffy one, because one thing I always kind of hate, and it's always a self-aware joke, and they used to throw it in like a lot of superhero movies, and you still see it every once in a while, where like somebody says like the name, they're like, oh, that name is so fucking dumb. Or here's a perfect example, the Lone Ranger, when he's like,
what's with the mask?
No, that too, but he also was like, hi ho Silver, and Johnny Depp's like, don't fucking say that, you fucking retard. And that wasn't the actual line in the movie, but that was the face he had, was that you're a fucking retard. And I don't like that. Like, that self-aware stuff bothers me, because it's just saying, it's like insulting like the fans. Like, no, that's what you want to hear as a fan, and treat it seriously, because that's how it was, when you watched it.
And you're kind of apologizing. It feels like you're apologizing for something, where it's like, even though I still love, go ahead.
I would say that it's like sort of, they did some of those jokes before for a long time in Batman. Like, they'd kind of like apologize for like the Adam West like-ness of it. And those are always those ones like, no, just treat it like, yeah, we don't question why somebody's running around in a costume. Like, that's just what he does. Like, and treat it seriously.
There was one that was like, what was it? Even though it's still probably one of the, it's a really good one. It's probably one of the better ones of the time. Like X-Men, it's just, that is, and Kevin Smith uses this as an example a lot. There's a line Cyclops says, which does seem kind of like a shitty, kind of like, fuck you, but it's like the whole like, well, what do you want? Yellow spandex?
Yeah, it's just like, what are you, fucking faggot?
Yeah.
Fuck. Like, he's not even looking at Wolverine, he's just looking at the audience, like, what the fuck's wrong with you people?
Just like 5 minutes, look at the audience, like, you fucking nerds complaining about fucking wearing black, fuck you, you're already in the, fuck you. Alright, let's continue with the mission.
He's like fucking counting the money, he's like, see this? This is the money I just got from the fucking ticket seller outside. I went up and punched his candy ass and took it from him. It's just like, what's this?
Scott Summers! Like, oh.
Just like looking like that. And then all of a sudden it's like somebody's like, Scott, come on. They're like, oh, okay, turns back, the movie continues on. Just he had to stop and like fucking Woody Allen break the fourth wall and insult the audience for a bit. But no, like, so
that was Evil Dead.
Yeah, I do have like a mixed bag about like sometimes it works great, if you do it right, but just don't insult the audience. I think that's the only thing. And
or the source material.
Yeah, or the source material. I think that perfect example is the Lone Ranger one. Like, that last part, just like, why? It's like, that's his catchphrase. And they do it a lot in those movies. Like, whatever, like, the main catchphrase is, they go, that's fucking corny, or that's from the 80s. That's stupid. Nobody would say that nowadays. And it's just like, well, you know, people still say that. Nobody seems to have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
But, whatever. Evil Dead Podcast. Good times. I guess make sure
Hopefully
to check out Old Man Orange. What you going to say?
Hopefully the audio came out good.
Yeah, probably will be. Make sure to check out OldManOrange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. And until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange Podcast. Check out our website at OldManOrange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at OldManOrangePodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.